We want to turn now to the challenges of flying at Reagan National Airports from a pilot's perspective. Reagan National Airport has been described as one of the most challenging airports to navigate, as well as being one of the most congested. Lieutenant Kegan Gill, retired U.S. Navy pilot, joins us now. Now, Kegan, you have flown in and out of that area. Put us in that seat. What is it like? What environment are you at? And how much do you need to be aware of what is going on around you, above you, sides and below you and behind?
Yes, it's in that area. Washington, D.C. airspace is possibly some of the most complex and congested airspace on the planet. And flying in and out of there as a pilot, you have to be on your absolute A game. You have to be on your altitude, on your airspeed. And instructions from air traffic control come rapidly. And the burden on those air traffic controllers is immense because the amount of traffic that they're trying to deal with is everly complex. And the last time I was in that airspace was over a decade ago. And I know that things continue to get only more congested and more busy.
Kegan, one of the things that we have heard from the NTSB was that there was a 200-foot ceiling on where this chopper, how high it could fly. Is there any reason why a helicopter would have gone above that?
You know, there's a number of reasons. I don't want to speculate that they did, since we're still waiting on the investigation to come out. However, if that were to be the case, it could absolutely be catastrophic. There's a number of variables that could contribute to that, be a lack of situational awareness by the pilot, could have been disoriented. There's a wide variety of reasons why that could happen very easily. And in that kind of airspace, if you're just 100 feet off your altitude, it can be disastrous.
You know, one of the things we have also heard was that night goggles may have been in use the moment this happened. Most of us have not worn night goggles. What does that do to your peripheral vision, your ability to see around you?
Yeah, well, you may assume that night vision goggles are actually going to enhance your situational awareness. They can oftentimes degrade it pretty badly, depending on the conditions, the ambient lighting of the night. Looking through those night vision goggles, especially some of the antiquated gear that the military utilizes still, you're looking through a soda straw, as you say. So it's like looking through about a 10-degree little tube. And so you really have to keep your head on a swivel looking around. And oftentimes you won't see something that's there. And oftentimes just taking the night vision goggles off, you can actually see better. So that could absolutely be a factor.
And explain to folks who live here in the D.C. area, anybody goes down by that river for years have seen these helicopters going up and down the Potomac River. Why the river? Why do helicopters travel over the river?
You know, I'm not a helicopter pilot, and I'm not certain. They may have some VFR routes along that, or some routes. It might just be a landmark that commonly gets followed because it's easy to navigate along when navigating visually. But I couldn't tell you for sure on that, sir.
As far as the ability of the air traffic controllers to monitor what is going on, one of the things we have learned is that there was one air traffic controller keeping an eye on both aircraft and on helicopters. Is that optimum? You
know, there's no doubt that there is a shortage of air traffic controllers currently, and I think that problem has continued to exacerbate itself over the years. And I know that they're likely begging for more staff. I don't know particulars of that specific center, but I know many friends who are air traffic controllers, and there is just a demand for hiring right now because they need them so badly.
Retired Lieutenant Kegan Gill is joining us this morning. He's a former U.S. Navy pilot. We thank you for your insight and your expertise.
Thank you for your time.